Wow. Okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, um, I can't tell that one either. I mean,
Ashton Kutcher and him they were real tight. One time, me, him, Ashton Kutcher went to a Nets game, and we met Jay-Z there. You know what I'm saying? So they were close. They was cool.
Looks like the feds are making serious moves again. And this time they've allegedly scooped up Ashton Kutcher. Word on the street is that Ashton might have just been arrested as a co-conspirator in the Wild Diddy investigation. And honestly, it's kind of starting to explain everything. Ashton's been ghosting hard ever since the Diddy drama started popping off. No red carpet sightings, no late-night interviews, not even a blurry paparazzi pic. Some folks are convinced he's already locked up, and now the internet's digging into his past, and whew, it's looking real grim. Let's rewind to high school. Ashton wasn't just some goofy class clown, he literally broke into his own school to cheat and steal money. That's not just teenage rebellion, that's third-degree burglary, a whole felony.
It was spilled wine on the floor. We believe now the evidence will show that was actually.
Yeah, the same guy selling tech startups and smiling on talk shows was once a convicted thief before the spotlight even hit him. And fast forward to his Hollywood glow-up, Ashton was co-hosting Diddy's infamous white parties. Yes, those white parties, now linked to all kinds of disturbing claims. And if you think that's where the chaos stops, think again. Old rumors are crawling back out. People haven't forgotten those whispers that Ashton was allegedly involved with Lindsay Lohan when she was just 16. Folks are now putting the puzzle pieces together and saying Ashton might have been just as shady as Diddy all along. And then there's the tragedy of Ashley Ellerin, his ex-girlfriend who was horrifically murdered. Ashton's version of events that night always had people raising eyebrows.
I think what makes it work is, I know.
Is that you're so freaking hot?
Now, with his name being dragged into this mess, people are starting to re-examine every detail. But here's the bombshell. Mila Kunis has reportedly filed for divorce. Sources say she's done protecting him. The word is, this latest scandal pushed her over the edge. What does Mila know that made her call it quits now of all times? So, let's get real. Did the feds really snatch up Ashton Kutcher? Was he working in the shadows with Diddy this whole time? And what dark secrets are about to spill out next? The boy next door act? Yeah, that might have been a whole illusion. Behind the charm and the smile.
I am the kind of person that actually learns more from their mistakes than from their successes. So all the great things we did in the past, we're gonna do again.
Ashton's been carrying secrets, and now the whole world's watching them unravel. Ashton Kutcher wasn't always Hollywood's golden boy. Long before the fame, the money, and the TV charm, he was arrested and slapped with a felony, third-degree burglary. And it wasn't some harmless prank. He broke into his school, stole cash, and tried to cheat on a test. That one dumb move, it cost him everything. College scholarships gone, a spotless record ruined, and he even lost his right to vote.
People were shocked to find out that Ashton and Mila, who kind of have branded themselves as...
But here's where folks start getting heated. After Ashton hit it big in Hollywood, he used his fame and cash to scrub the whole thing away. Paid to get his felony expunged. Clean slate, voting rights restored like it never happened. Because when you've got celebrity status, the system suddenly plays real nice. He made a half-hearted attempt at college, enrolled at the University of Iowa.
Activists for victims would write letters on behalf of a person who had been convicted already.
But even he admitted he was out here acting wild. He partied nonstop, got kicked out of his apartment for being too loud and reckless, and eventually dropped out. From there, he packed up, moved to New York, and jumped into modeling alongside faces like Tom Welling from Smallville. But all that chaos, it was just the start. Things take a serious dark turn when you bring up Ashley Ellerin.
Good, you're doing so good.
I just want to say,
She was a 22-year-old fashion student and Ashton's girlfriend at the time. The night she was found brutally murdered, Ashton told police he'd shown up at her place late. He claimed he looked through the window and saw red stains on the carpet, thought it was spilled wine. So what did he do? He just left. By morning, Ashley's body was discovered inside that same house. People have always said Ashton's story about that night just doesn't sit right. Like, seriously. Who sees red stains on the carpet and assumes it's just wine, then dips without even checking if the person you came to see is okay? That move had folks side-eyeing him for years. It's cold, strange, and honestly, just too convenient. And it gets weirder, because Ashley wasn't the only woman in Ashton's circle who ended up at the center of a tragedy. Guess who else he was close to? Brittany Murphy. Yeah, the same Brittany who died suddenly at just 32. The official report said it was pneumonia and anemia. But then her husband, Simon Monjack, died months later from the exact same thing. Like, what are the odds? Two people? Same house? Same cause of death? Fans still think something's off? And now with Ashton's name popping back up in this federal mess, people are going back and rereading everything. And what they're seeing? It's creeping them out. Big time. People have always said Ashton's story about that night just doesn't sit right. Like, seriously, who sees red stains on the carpet and assumes it's just wine, then dips without even checking if the person you came to see is okay? That move had folks side-eyeing him for years. It's cold, strange, and honestly, just too convenient. And it gets weirder, because Ashley wasn't the only woman in Ashton's circle who ended up at the center of a tragedy. Guess who else he was close to? Brittany Murphy. Yeah, the same Brittany who died suddenly at just 32. The official report said it was pneumonia and anemia. But then her husband, Simon Monjack, died months later from the exact same thing. Like, what are the odds? Two people? Same house? Same cause of death? Fans still think something's off.
Wow. Okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them.
And now with Ashton's name popping back up in this federal mess, people are going back and rereading everything. And what they're seeing, it's creeping them out big time. And if you know, the second that connection got exposed, things started clicking fast. After that, Diddy didn't waste time. He pulled Ashton Kutcher, Danny Masterson, and Wilmer Valderrama deep into his circle, his hand-picked crew. And what did he call them? The New Hollywood Rat Pack. But let's be real, this wasn't some cute boys club for cigars and golf games. Nah, this was Diddy's inner fortress. A group of men flying around the world, throwing wild parties, pulling strings behind the scenes, and allegedly doing a whole lot more than the public was ever supposed to find out. We're talking private jets, hidden deals, and exclusive events where the real business didn't go down on the guest list. It went down behind closed doors. And get this, Ashton wasn't just partying. Word is he was the one who connected Diddy with none other than Adam Neumann, the controversial ex-CEO of WeWork. You remember him, right? The guy who burned billions, treated his startup like a cult, and dipped before the whole thing crashed. And guess who allegedly got a sweet little cut of that whole mess? Diddy. Yeah, these weren't just friendships, they were power alliances built on money, silence, and secrets. And here's where it gets really twisted. Once that level of wealth and influence is in play, the rules change. You're not just making connections, you're building fortresses around your sins, fortresses where everyone's lips stay sealed and everything dirty gets buried deep. Don't believe it? Try it yourself.
Good, you're doing so good.
I just want to say,
Go online right now and search New Hollywood Rat Pack with Ashton, Danny, Wilmer, or Diddy's name. You'll find almost nothing. Like someone came through and deep cleaned the whole internet, scrubbed it top to bottom. So why all the silence now? Ever since Diddy got cuffed, Ashton and Mila have been moving like ghosts. Suddenly they're pretending they barely even knew the man. Like he was just some random face they maybe passed on a red carpet one time. Please. The internet's not buying that for 1 second. They're pulling the same exact move they did when Danny Masterson got convicted. We're talking years of friendship. Birthday shout-outs, cozy group photos, family trips. All of it suddenly vanished. Deleted. Erased like it never existed. It's giving full-blown rebrand. It's giving panic mode PR. And for real, it's part of a bigger pattern. Because let's not forget, Ashton and Mila have always been deep in the mix with Scientology. A lot of their closest friends, Scientologists.
He said, within 83 blocks of where we're standing, you can go buy somebody. And I was floored by the notion of that.
Their inner circle, tied in tight. Even some of their personal staff are rumored to be part of that same network. And if you know anything about Scientology, you know that means next-level media control. We're talking about an organization with a long history of wiping headlines, intimidating journalists, and straight-up silencing people.
Board effective immediately. He wrote a
So if you've ever noticed how some stories about Ashton or Mila just vanish into thin air, now you know why. And here's where it gets even more sketchy. When Ashton was once asked about Diddy's wild parties, he didn't deny anything. He just smirked and said, "There's a lot I can't tell." That one line, it sent the internet spiraling. Because when someone says they can't talk about something, it's usually not because the story's boring, it's because it's too real. Now, people are speculating hard. Allegedly, what Ashton can't say includes everything from secret freak-off sessions to exploitation, to the same disturbing behavior that's now dragging Diddy into federal court. And we can't skip over Thorn, Ashton's so-called nonprofit created to combat child exploitation online. On paper, it sounds like a hero's mission, a noble cause, the kind of thing that earns headlines, praise, and invites to government panels. But behind the curtain, things get murky, real murky. Documents linked to Thorn have been redacted. Some of the organization's partnerships raise eyebrows. And multiple people have filed Freedom of Information Act requests, trying to dig into what's really going on under the surface. That's how shady it's looking now. People don't just want answers, they want receipts. And then, boom, Ashton suddenly resigns from Thorn's board. No warning, no press tour, no goodbye speech. Just gone. Some insiders say it wasn't a coincidence. It was strategy. Because word is they were about to start turning the heat on him, and he knew if he stayed, it was about to get real ugly.
How are you doing? How's the New Year's going for you?
Great.
Sorry. Well, Happy New Year anyways. I'm sorry.
Speaking of ugly, let's talk about Daveigh Chase. You remember her? The haunting little girl from The Ring? What most people don't know is that she didn't just fade out of Hollywood. She spiraled. And the whispers? They point to one night that changed everything. The night she was invited to party with Diddy and Ashton Kutcher. She was young, like way too young to be anywhere near that kind of scene. And ever since that night, her life's been a non-stop disaster. Arrests, run-ins with the law, substance issues. It's been dark, real dark. Jail time, that's where Daveigh Chase ended up. Not once, but multiple times. Back in 2019, she got booked on a misdemeanor charge. Just 5 months before that, busted for substance possession.
Is in Lizzie McGuire. She also has an album out. She's going to be in a movie called Cheaper by the Dozen.
Then, fast forward to early 2024, she was right back behind bars after another arrest in Hollywood. The fall-off was brutal. This girl went from starring in red carpet premieres to racking up mugshots, all in under a decade. And people aren't just chalking it up to bad choices or bad luck. Nope. The streets are talking, and what they're saying is chilling. Allegedly, something went down at that party, something dark, something that left her broken, the kind of trauma that doesn't just fade, the kind that sticks, the kind that changes a person forever. And here's the kicker, Daveigh Chase wasn't the only one. Because the streets are also saying Ashton Kutcher had a pattern. Allegedly, he was messing around with Lindsay Lohan when she was just 16. And when that ended, guess who swooped in next? Wilmer Valderrama. Yup, the same guy who always seemed to appear right after the damage was done. Now people are seeing the pattern. And it's disturbing. This wasn't just random Hollywood dating. It's starting to look like this whole inner circle had a twisted preference. And Ashton? He wasn't just around it. He was right in the middle of it. Let's not forget, Diddy's out here drowning in lawsuits one after another, stacked up like Jenga blocks. But when you look at the bigger picture, Ashton, Wilmer, Danny Masterson, it's not giving coincidence, it's giving co-conspirators. And since we're talking Wilmer, let's get into his record real quick. Let's start with Mandy Moore. She was just 15 when she first met him. Wilmer was 20. They both tried to play it off like nothing was going on, but years later, Mandy Moore confirmed the truth. Yes, the relationship did happen while she was still underage. And y'all, it only goes downhill from there. In a disgusting sit-down with Howard Stern, Wilmer bragged about being the first guy to sleep with her.
And she's one of the girls that we're all waiting for to turn 18.
He laughed, he joked, he straight up boasted about it like it was some kind of flex. It was disturbing. Mandy came forward later and said not only was it false, but it deeply hurt her. That moment said a lot about who Wilmer really was behind the scenes. And then came Lindsay Lohan. She was the it girl of the early 2000s. Paparazzi flashes, red carpets, magazine covers everywhere. Wilmer was 24, Lindsay was 17. They swore up and down they were just friends. But then, boom, On her 18th birthday, they suddenly announced they were a couple, like clockwork. That midnight birthday trick? It wasn't slick. Fast forward to 2010. Wilmer started hanging around a young Demi Lovato. And again, same script. We're just friends. He's like a brother. But then, you guessed it. On Demi's 18th birthday, they suddenly went public. At that point, Wilmer was 29, more than a decade older. And here's the bombshell. Demi later admitted the relationship started before she was legal. Another one. It's not just messy, it's a full-on pattern.
Who I think is a real hot piece of ass. You dated Mandy Moore.
Yeah.
For two.
Mandy Moore.
What's that like? Jeez.
You have to say,
I would.
He probably took her virginity.
Did he?
Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan?
Sure. Why
was with her for
insulting
a
the man?
while.
It was how many years you were going out with
So
Lindsay
you
Lohan?
We were together for like a year and something.
But you don't meet her.
that was
but you-
Mandy, Lindsay, Demi, same story, just different names. The timelines are always sketchy. The age gaps are wide, and that midnight birthday move, it's been showing up like it's part of some sick blueprint. At this point, people aren't asking if Wilmer crossed lines, they're asking how many times he got away with it. And knowing that Ashton, Wilmer, and Danny Masterson were all in that same inner circle, that makes it even more unsettling. In 2022, Demi Lovato finally broke her silence, and she did it the most powerful way she could. She dropped a song called 29, and when I tell you those lyrics cut deep, I mean it. She didn't name drop anyone, but she didn't have to. Everyone knew exactly who she was talking about. Demi later confirmed it in interviews, saying, "I feel like the song says it all, and it really, really does." But the internet never forgets. While digging through old forums and comment threads, one post jumped out like a siren. And it's not just gossip, it's a straight-up red flag on fire. One user claimed, "Wilmer Valderrama was part owner of a bar I worked at. Absolute garbage human being. Underage girls would come in a lot, and we were told we were never allowed to ID people at his tables." Read that again? That wasn't a rumor. That was a claim from someone who worked there. They said underage girls showed up regularly, and staff were instructed not to check IDs, at his tables specifically. That means management knew. That means this wasn't random, it was a system designed to look the other way. And here's the kicker. Megan Good was allegedly an investor in that same bar. Yep, the same Megan who's now out here promoting spiritual healing and posting Sunday devotionals. According to that same employee, she was horrendous behind the scenes. So what does that tell you? This wasn't some Hollywood oops, didn't know her age situation. This was planned. This was protected. This was an environment set up to allow predatory behavior to thrive, where powerful names made sure no questions got asked and nobody got held accountable. She was allegedly an investor too, and according to that same bar employee, Megan Good wasn't just present. She was horrendous. That's not just bad vibes. That's someone who knew what was happening and either looked the other way, or worse, benefited from it. Now let's connect the dots. If Wilmer Valderrama owned the place and Ashton Kutcher has been his ride or die since that 70s show...
First met Wilmer, he was 29. I met him on January 11th of 2010. And it was at a PSA shoot at his house for the 2010 census forms. And I have to have him. But I was only 17. And so he was like, get away from me. After I had turned 18, we began dating.
His business partner, his wingman, his bestie. Do you really believe Ashton didn't know what was happening? Be serious. The rumor on the street is that this bar wasn't just a hangout. It was one of their alleged hunting grounds. A spot where lines got blurred and no one asked questions. Especially not when the names involved had clout, cash, and silence on their side. And that's where things get straight up disturbing. Ashton Kutcher, the guy who helped launch a tech company aimed at protecting minors from exploitation, was allegedly running in the exact type of circle he claimed to be fighting against. Publicly, he was the hero, the advocate, the speaker at the panels. Privately, he was allegedly side by side with men who were thriving off blurred age lines and targeting vulnerable young girls. That's not just hypocrisy, it's a double life. So when you zoom out and really look at this so-called new Hollywood rat pack, the crew Diddy himself handpicked, it becomes crystal clear. This wasn't just a group of celebs who liked to party. This was a calculated, close-knit network, built on secrecy, silence, and shared behavior. And Ashton, He wasn't on the outside. He was dead center. Now word is, Mila Kunis might finally be done with him. Allegedly, she's seen enough. The distance, the silence, the non-stop scandals. It's all stacking up. And sources are whispering that Mila has reached her breaking point. And word on the curb, Mila Kunis has filed for divorce. And honestly, it makes sense. Everything started shifting the moment Ashton's name got wrapped up in the mess surrounding Diddy. From that point on, the distance between them, clear as day. So if the whispers are true, Ashton Kutcher might be out here trying to scrub his image solo. No Mila, no marriage, just him, that shady inner circle, and a whole trail of questions he still hasn't answered. The bar, the parties, the underage rumors, the secrets tied to the so-called New Hollywood Rat Pack. People are wondering, did Ashton really not know what was going down? Or was he just good at keeping his hands clean while standing in the middle of the storm? And now we gotta ask the real question, is Ashton Kutcher being quietly investigated? Or is he just hiding behind that powerful Hollywood machine, the same one that's been protecting A-listers for decades? Because let's be real, when the smoke starts rising, somebody's usually fanning the flames behind the scenes. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Mila finally had enough and walked away for good? Do you think Ashton was clueless or complicit? And do you believe this is just the beginning of a much bigger takedown? Sound off in the comments with your thoughts, your theories, your receipts. Don't hold back. You already know how we do over here. And while you're at it, smash that like button, subscribe for more unfiltered breakdowns, and hit that bell so you never miss what's really happening behind Hollywood's velvet curtain.